Today we're jumping into Esther chapters 5 and 6, two shorter chapters but packed with lots of truth. These chapters teach us something many people need to hear. Just because nothing looks like it's changing does not mean that God is inactive. Sometimes heaven is moving while earth looks very quiet. Sometimes the breakthrough begins in places no one sees it. In Esther chapter 5 and 6, one woman walks in courage, one man is consumed by pride, and one sleepless night will change everything. Let's walk through it together. Let's jump into the background, just in case somebody's just jumping in here first. Haman has already convinced the king to sign a decree to destroy the Jewish people. Mordecai has challenged Esther to speak. She has fasted. She has prepared. She has prayed. Now the moment has come. Esther 5:1 opens with, on the third day, Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace. This verse says so much more than we understand. Esther does not rush in carelessly. She doesn't storm in emotionally. She prepares herself. She puts on her royal robes. That matters. She steps into the identity that had already been given to her. Sometimes people pray for doors to open while still thinking like they are powerless. Esther approached the king dressed as who she already was. Some of you need to hear this. Walk into the next season wearing the identity that God has already given you. Esther 5:2. The king sees Esther and he extends his golden scepter. She is received with favor, is what that means. He is welcoming her into his presence. What she feared most did not happen. She had risked rejection but found favor. How often do we carry fear into moments that God has already prepared? How many people suffer twice? Once in their imaginations, I'm guilty, then maybe in reality. Esther shows courage anyway. She knew what could happen, but she stepped forward. Esther 5:3-8. The king asked, "What is your wish? Up to half my kingdom." But Esther does not blurt out everything she wants. She simply invites the king and Haman to a banquet. Then at the banquet, she asks them to come again tomorrow. She's using wisdom here. Esther knew what to say, but she also knew that timing matters. Not every truth must be spoken the first second you get access. Sometimes discernment means waiting for the right moment. Some people lose battles because they were right, but they rushed. Esther was courageous and very strategic. In Esther 5:9-14, Haman leaves joyful and proud. He boasts to his wife and his friends about his wealth, his sons, his promotion, his invitation with the queen. But one thing ruins all of it. Mordecai will not bow before him. This is pride on full display. Haman has everything, but one man's refusal steals his peace. That's what pride does. A grateful heart can enjoy abundance. A proud heart obsesses over the offense. Some people are miserable not because they lack blessings, but because their ego blinds them to gratitude. Esther 5:14. His wife and friends tell him to build gallows 75 feet high for Mordecai. And Haman loves this idea. He doesn't realize his pride is escalating. It will never be satisfied. What could have been ignored becomes revenge. What could have been small becomes very dramatic. The gallows were not justice, they were a spectacle. Pride wants an audience. In Esther 6:1, that night the king could not sleep. One of the most important verses in the book. No thunder, no angels, no miracles seen, just insomnia. Ever happened to you? God can use sleepless nights too. The king asked for the royal records to be read, and of all entries, they read about Mordecai saving the king's life. In Esther 6:3, the king asked, well, what honor has been given to Mordecai? The answer, nothing. Nothing was done for Mordecai. Faithfulness had been forgotten by people, but not by God. Some of you feel unseen, unrewarded, passed over. Remember this: delayed honor is not denied honor. God knows how to bring remembrance at the right time. Esther 6:6-9, Haman enters. The king asks, what should be done for the man the king delights to honor? Haman thinks to himself, who would the king honor more than me? So he describes a lavish public celebration, royal robes, royal horse, public praise. Pride always assumes center stage, and that's what Haman had done. When ego rules the heart, everything becomes about self. In Esther 16, the king says, do so to Mordecai the Jew. Imagine what Haman was thinking. That moment, the man Haman hated the most is the man Haman must now honor. The man he wanted to hang is the man he must parade through the streets. This is divine reversal. What Haman built in secret, God overturned in public. In Esther 6:11-12, Haman leads Mordecai through the city, proclaiming honor. Then Mordecai returns quietly to the king's gate. Notice Mordecai's humility. He receives honor and goes back to work. No pride, no victory lap, no revenge speech. Humility can handle blessing. Pride cannot handle humiliation. In Esther 6:13, Haman returns home in grief. His wife and advisors tell him, if Mordecai is of the Jewish people, your downfall is certain. Even the people around him can now see it. When pride starts falling, it falls fast. What do Esther 5 and 6 teach us today? Courage matters. Esther moved even while she was afraid. Timing matters. Wisdom knows when to speak, but also when to be silent. Pride destroys peace. Haman had everything and enjoyed nothing. God works quietly. The turning point began in a sleepless night. Hidden faithfulness matters. Mordecai was remembered at the right time. Remember that God is at work even when you may not see it. He is working things together for you. Some of you feel like nothing is moving, but Esther 6 reminds us the king may not sleep because God is already shifting the story. While others build traps, God builds reversal. While pride plots, God prepares honor. While the night feels quiet, heaven may be moving the most. Stay faithful. Your story may be one night away from changing. Please forgive the dog barking. I'm not sure what he was barking at. And join me for more.